My favorite.
It's Judd's Hockey Show.
And it is Judd's Hockey Show. We actually backed up Jessi Pierce's appearance by one day so that we would have both games of the first round series between the Wild and the Golden Knights to talk about. So it is Judd, it's AJ, and most importantly, it is Jessi. And I'm not sure about you two, but I've been podcasting throughout the morning, and I've had to be very careful about like my thoughts and stuff because I'm going on no sleep. And so I'm sort of punch drunk. And I'm always like, I can't really say what I think immediately because it could be bad or make no sense. So I'm being very cautious to actually try to think through my thoughts today so that I don't say something that's completely stupid, because I bet for all three of us, the earliest that we went to bed last night after that 10:15 p.m. start, thanks National Hockey League, was about 2 a.m.
Very accurate. 2 a.m, up again at 5:30, courtesy of children. It was great. I skipped the gym. Normally I'm at the gym at 5, and I was like, you know what, I'll sit this one out, thinking that was a good idea, but they were on their own. It was a lawless land. No rules, prison rules, if you will. But the kids survived. It was good. We all survived, and we're here.
And
I think I got probably the best like setting out of all three of us, because Judd got to go to bed a little earlier than me, I think, because I had to get the podcast posted after we wrapped up last night. But I got in bed at 2:15, 2:20. He had to wake up, dish out like hot takes all morning long. Jessi has kids. I was able to roll over. All right, hey, let's take the dog outside, ease into the day. That being said, I got punished because on the way in the studio here, punctured tire. I gotta go get that looked at later today. So I got punished for sleeping in, but we'll probably rein it in with some of the takes today. That's for sure.
So if it's 3 stars, Jessi, of course, number 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be 2.
Yeah.
You'd be 3.
Yes.
And just to be clear, in my opinion, no comparison. Like if you've got kids, easily the hardest. So.
Oh, and then I was told, like, my daughter didn't want to wear pants. She didn't want anything. We had a morning.
You might want to talk to her about this. This is not going to work long term.
And then I put pants on her, but I put shorts because it's going to be gorgeous today. And I'm a believer in the shorts. Like the boys were pumped to wear shorts, and she was like, "But I'm not wearing pants." I'm like, "They're shorts. They're not pants." Like she's just
Okay, we're gonna have to talk to her about this though. Pants are necessary, very necessary.
Most times, yeah.
Yes, exactly right. Okay, with that being said, the Wild lost game 1, in which just so that Jessi, I did not object. Like I thought that they played pretty well. Like I did not think game 1 was not like, that's an embarrassment. They come back and win game 2 in what was a very weird game because they took a 4-0 lead and looked great, and sort of, I don't know what happened, got dominated for a lengthy period after that. So from the first 2 games, game 3 Thursday night at the X, which you of course will be at and covering, what's your overall takeaway so far of the series?
I mean, I will say I'm impressed because I don't think anybody, I know we had talked about it last week, where on paper, truthfully, they do match up fairly well in a lot of areas with Vegas, but to see them actually keep that pace and kind of even to hold them off yesterday after they had jumped out to such a lead and kind of, I think, took Vegas by such surprise. And Vegas came back, and then it was wave after wave after wave of push, but they stood tall. I've been impressed with how they played. Like you, Judd, I thought game 1 was good. There were some minor missteps. There were certainly some big turnovers, but I didn't think it was bad by any stretch of the imagination. And then that empty netter for them obviously makes it feel a lot more egregious. And then likewise yesterday, getting out to that start was huge. And it's funny because actually they started very poorly. Like the first opening 2 minutes, Minnesota looked completely lost, and we were like, oh, here we go. We're going to be buckle in for this ride. And then all of a sudden it was like 1, 2, 3, 4. And then Vegas themselves woke up. So in general, I think I stand by what we had talked about before. I think this could go 7 because you're going to be met tit for tat. It's going to be very hard. Now, that was the concerning part in yesterday's game 2 victory, is you could see the exhaustion on Minnesota again, as Vegas just kept pushing and they were relentless in the ozone. They would just not give up. And I think you could see the tire wear, especially when you don't have a fourth line. I'm going to effectively say there is no fourth line for this team because they are so bad. Even bumping Marco Rossi, I can kind of try to understand John Hines' sentiment on putting Marco Rossi on the fourth line. But again, I think it's just more of a tell on how the organization feels about Marco. And exactly what happened is what I thought would happen is he's not going to respond to this well. He's not going to be able to do anything because he's got 2 cinder blocks next to him. Like, it's not good.
I said this on our JHS post game this morning, early this morning. I would scratch him. Like if you're going to play him on the fourth line, I don't see the purpose. Like this guy either needs to be playing with guys of some skill, which is the second line, the Goudreau line, or this might sound crazy. I would rather have Devon Shore as the center on my fourth line than Rossi because I think he understands his assignment. Yeah. Like to me, the Rossi thing on the fourth line, if I don't know if they think it's going to create offense or what, or it's just a message, or they're just mad, which you've alluded to, but I think I would rather play Devon Shore and not play Marco at all if you're going to continue to put him between Brazeau and Trennan.
Yeah, you couldn't. I mean, we saw the limited minutes that fourth line got because they weren't doing anything. And again, in a game where it is exhausting and you're already double shifting the top, you can't have that. So it's a massive problem. It's not just Marco Rossi's problem, mind you. It's Yakov Trennan's problem as well. It's Justin Brazeau's problem too. And it's frustrating and hard to watch because I don't know what the solution. I agree. I think Vinny should get in. I don't know why we haven't done that yet. And again, John Hines being the coach he is, let's give it a go here in game 3 to start things off. Go 11-7, maybe. Maybe that's the key. Maybe you're looking at doing an 11-7 situation. I don't know, but I do know that fourth line it needs to cease to be.
So it's really bad right now.
Yeah. And Gus needs to come. Like they won't, but Gus too, right, H? Like we talked about this.
Yeah.
Ideal world, I put Hinostroza in for Gus. And the fourth line played, I thought, pretty well with Hartman on Monday, but I just think that the Rossi thing is a zero fit. Sorry, H.
No, you're fine. The problem with that thing is that they're just never going to, because of the price they paid, bench a guy like Gustav Nyquist. Yeah. They like him. They traded for him. It's a second rounder. You had all the salary retained, and then now it's just his one effective use is the penalty kill. Through 2 games, you're going on the penalty kill. I'm gonna say once, because the one at the end of game 1, like you had to take that. You're not gonna throw him out there for that. But if you're not gonna have penalties called against you in the playoffs, why is he in there? I think Hinostroza probably should factor in. He works hard. He would slot in, I think, on that role very well. And plus, with how Ryan Hartman has had a little bit of a boost to his play, like having his best buddy from childhood there with him, like who knows what that's going to do to generate even a little more offense and chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
They
nailed it. I would agree. I mean, do you consider moving Trennan or not? Excuse me, not Trennan. I don't need to talk about Trennan ever again. Same with you, just blah. Do you consider moving Marco Rossi to a wing? I don't know. I mean, it's a bad time to maybe give that a go. I don't know what the answer is. I don't think it's scratching him. I will say that I don't think they will. I don't know that that's it, but it just can't be. You have to do something. It's hard and painful to watch. It's causing more problems than it is presenting anything positive.
In game 1, I felt like you had 4 lines that could play. In game 2, I felt like you didn't. And to your point, in a playoff game, you can't not have a fourth line that can't play. And I think Trennan and Brazeau, for as little as they do bring size. And when they're on a line with the guy who understands his role as the center, I think that line is passable. I mean, the problem is those 2 guys, Brazeau and Trennan, have 0 skill. They have 0 skill. And Marco Rossi is all really about skill. And so I guess my point is, that if you're so mad that you are not going to put him with anyone of any skill, you're defeating the purpose. I don't think you're teaching him a damn thing beyond the fact that he's going to and probably should get out of here. But I just think you have to come back on Thursday with 4 viable lines that you're not embarrassed to play or quite frankly, afraid to play. And I don't know how you go about that. The Nyquist thing, I agree with Age's point, but the Nyquist thing drives me crazy because if they're not going to call penalties, he has no role.
I just had a realization, like a little bubble. You know who's in Minnesota right now? The Black Aces, which means Liam Ogren is in Minnesota right now.
Yeah.
Therefore, guys, what are we? We're going to slot them in. We're putting Liam Ogren in there. Maybe we'll do a Brendan Gaunce thing. I don't care. I forgot that. Thank you. All right. It's going to be good. That's what I think. I think that's what you do. That's what I'm going to tell John Hines to do today.
Shore's
like,
here,
so
right?
are we going to put, well, Shore is in Vegas. He was in Vegas. I think they recalled him before.
Okay.
Right. So I think the Black Aces, though, didn't travel to Vegas. So they are here.
I love
and
that.
To my knowledge, you can just put them in. You could just toss them in whenever you want. Right. So Liam Ogren, baby. Right. AJ, you're looking at me like this. Why are we not excited?
Well, I
AJ
like
was going to say something, so I was hanging out. I want to hear what AJ says.
No, I like it. John Hines is not going to go for that, though, right? Like, they already had a huge trepidation about getting a guy like Zeev Buium into the lineup, and now it's like, okay, let's just throw another young guy in there when they traded for it. If
but
you
Liam
had to
has experience,
he does. But I feel like they're not going to jumble it enough and like make that big of a splash and send that type of a message in the playoffs with a guy like Gustav Nyquist. As easy as it would be us removed, if it doesn't work out, it's gonna be like, well, you traded, all of the, like, it's a second round pick, but all of these assets, all this value for a guy. Now you're just telling me in the biggest part of the season, he has no spot in your roster. If you had to adjust like the current lineup right now, are you making any changes before Saturday, or are you leaving it as is?
Or
like if nobody goes in or Thursday, if nobody goes in or comes out, are you leaving it as is? My only thing would be, does Gaudreau, have you guys been impressed with Gaudreau's play on the second line so far as a center? Because I just feel like if you're going to have Rossi in the lineup, you have to get him with skill guys.
Right.
You can't have.
Here's what I would do if I were John Hines and Billy Guerin. Okay.
Yes.
If you're going to make Marco Rossi a fourth line guy, where I know he's not doing what you want. I saw a rumor last night that he's hurt, which I don't have no idea if that's true or not. But we don't know who's hurt and who's not. But I would rather scratch Rossi and play play Shore on Thursday, and then bring Rossi back on Saturday and put him in Gaudreau's spot and bump Gaudreau down. Not because Gaudreau deserves it, but because Gaudreau can play on any line. Like John Hines is compromising his lines. He's compromising his lines. And as far as Ogren goes, I think Hinostroza would play before Ogren, but I do not object to your solution there, Jessi, and I actually like it. I don't know that they're juggling things correctly. Let me put it that way. And I know that a lot of fans are going to say, well, John Hines has coached hockey for a long time, Judd. And I'm going to tell you, yeah, but he's never won a first round series. The other thing too is, if you look at the personnel here, John Hines created problems last night, Jessi, to your point of exhaustion, because he felt like he couldn't play a line. And quite frankly, at one point, I think he felt like he couldn't play his third defensive pairing.
I feel like how that light just went out in my whole life. There. Oh, beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
Jessie's like, I put makeup on for this. That lighting was perfect.
So perfect.
It's your kids' fault.
It probably somewhere.
I blame the kids.
I know. No, and I guess the other consideration heading into Thursday is, how much are you going to and how much are you willing to change, given the fact that you won the other night and given the fact that the series is tied 1-1. It's not necessarily a desperate situation heading into game 3. Now, game 4 on Saturday, yes, maybe you do see more movement because of the outcome that comes on Thursday. But yeah, the exhaustion, again, like we've said, was the biggest concern. And it just kind of seemed in those moments too, between the the 17 minutes of the second period on, it felt like it just seemed like there were a lot of players lost and there was a lot of miscommunication. I go back to the second goal that Vegas probably scored, where it was just a missed assignment, and Trennan and Bogosian both make that mistake to cover Pietrangelo and miss the guy and leave him wide up, right? Those situations. So it'll be interesting. Again, I'm excited to talk to Hines. I'm sure he's going to say, well, we'll take a look at it. We'll know more tomorrow.
Right. We consider everything. We
Yeah.
consider it all. Well, here's what I would say too. And I do think you're right. I think he's going to say, well, we won. Why change things up? But what I would say is, John, you won. But first of all, you were up 4-0. And despite the fact that you won by 3 goals, you sort of had to hang on to win. You asked a ton from your goaltender, who we can get to, who was brilliant last night. Probably not talked about enough because of the margin of victory. But what I would tell John Hines is this. Okay, you won, but you need to use a term I like, you need to smooth out minutes here, and you're not doing that, and you're asking too much. Like you are if you think that you can win a round, you're driving guys into the ground unnecessarily. So that's where the fourth line thing to me has to work. They cannot be an unviable, like you cannot just say, well, we can't really play them. That's where, quite frankly, I would take, and I think, Jess, I suggested this with you, and I know I did with Age, but there was a point last night where they were afraid to play Bouillon and Bogosian.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I would put Zeev with Spurgeon, Middleton with Bogosian, and again, smooth out the minutes for the entire thing. I need guys that can, running guys into the ground in game 2 of your playoff series. I know there are some guys that can, but I don't think that's a good way to get ahead of the game to win a series.
No.
Sorry. And I'm not talking like massive changes, but at the end of the day, Gus Nyquist deserves not to play. That's very clear. They won't do it, but he does. But I'm also talking about a lot of internal changes with the personnel that you played last night to try to get guys so I'm not, driving Kirill Kaprizov into the ever-loving ground when he just came back, 2 weeks ago, tops?
Yeah. I do think you mentioned it, that deep pairing of Bouillon and Bogosian something's got to change there. Bogosian's as much of a liability, and I think Zeev has been playing fine, all things considered, but Bogosian is a huge liability out there right now. And we all know that's not going to happen. Hines is not going to sit Zach Bogosian. Bill Guerin will not let him sit Zach Bogosian, but I have not liked these 2 games from him. It's not helping Zeev at all, who is looking like a rookie out there in some instances, which is fine, but that bottom pair is going to have to change.
Why are we assuming, and Age has pointed this out for a month now, if not more, why are we assuming that Bogosian can stabilize Bouillon when Bogosian needs a stabilizer? Like Middleton, I'm not demoting, again, just like with the Goudreau talk, I'm not demoting him. I'm literally saying I want 3 defensive pairings that I can play with the best possible players. Z Bouillon deserves to play. I don't think he's done anything where I'm like, oh, John Merrill. John, you took out a Norris Trophy candidate in John Merrill. So why wouldn't you want to give... I don't understand why you think that Bogosian is this like savvy veteran who can control things. Jared Spurgeon is positionally phenomenal. He's a small guy. I get that. And yes, he's not the player that he was at one time, but I like his chances to make Bouillon look good way more than Bogosian. Bogosian, like, his head is barely above water playing himself, like just playing. Mm-hmm. And you're like, okay, and help this kid too. It's an odd ask at best. And this is coming from me who, I know a lot, but technically I'm not supposed to know as much as John Hines.
I agree. I've said it since Zeev came on the scene. I want him and Spurgeon together. We saw what Spurgeon was able to do for Declan Chisholm, right? When he came in, and how he was able to get Declan Chisholm going and look like a decent defenseman. No offense to Declan, but I think Middleton and Bogosian together too. Right. There's just 2 size third pair D that makes sense in most situations, right? It's your heavy hitters. And Middleton has turned an offensive leaf. I think that's probably the one reason John Hines looks at it as, well, we want a stay-at-home defenseman. We want somebody that can jump into the offense. Well, Middleton wants to jump into the offense. Whatever. But I would love to see that change because it's not working. And I think John Hines has to admit that to himself. This is not working. If you're similar to what we had mentioned about the fourth line, you're scared to play that third D pair, that is a problem. And you're not giving Z Bouillon any help or a better opportunity then on the very limited times he's going to see a power play, because as we discussed, Vegas just simply doesn't take the penalties, or they don't get called one way or another. You're not seeing him on the top power play unit anyway.
Amen.
That top D pairing for the Wild last night, Brody, in favor 24-33 of ice time. Middleton Spurgeon 18-22, Bouillon Bogosian 11-16. On ice, expected goals against, though, for that Faber Brodin 1.3, Middleton Spurgeon very defensively sound 0.7, Bouillon Bogosian 7 minutes less than them 0.9. They're a liability right now. You got to split up that second pairing and put one with one, Spurgeon and Bouillon, and then put Middleton on the bottom. It just makes too much sense to not do it. Like, the stats are there, the eye test absolutely is there.
Yep. I
don't understand why we are insisting that Zach Bogosian's not like this defensively statute guy who's going to calm the nerves of young, talented Z Bouillon. That's just not happening. We've seen it now for 2 games.
He's old. He's old. He's too old. And the thing too is
the 3rd overall pick.
The problem though, again, on this topic is I feel like John Hines won't consider it. I think there's a better chance that Bulliam is scratched on Thursday and Merrill plays. Like, that's what I guess that's what I don't like. I want to get ahead of this thing. I want to try and win the series, not by relying on guys I like or not by, and the thing about last night too, in fact, let's talk about it. This is one of the first times, you guys, in a series in a long time where and I talked about this with Age, Jessi, last night, where I really feel like the goaltending, like the check mark right now, is in the Wild's corner. And we could talk about the Kaprizov pass to Boldy. We could talk about the 4 goals, blah, 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 blah. That's great. That's fantastic. The reality is this. I think Filip Gustavsson won you that game. Mm-hmm. At the way that he played at the start, before they scored, was phenomenal. And then more importantly, I guess, once they basically just sort of went into a shell or got tired, I don't know what happened there. The goal, but you know, if that is, not to pick on your friend, but if that is 2018 Devin Dubnyk in goal in the playoffs, you don't win. And, you know, quite frankly, I think that there's been a lot of incarnations of this team that have lost that game by a miracle comeback by the opponent, it feels like, because the goaltending was not like what we saw. Filip Gustavsson was outstanding.
I would love to, and I'm looking it up and I wouldn't even know where to start. So I'll just go off the cusp of my head, the eye test too, if you will. Love to see the amount of zone time that Vegas had from that stretch, right? We saw the limited amount of shots Minnesota had, but that's because they were never in their zone. They couldn't clear the puck. So it was on Filip Gustavsson. I mean, he doesn't have to make necessarily the flashy saves, and he made a couple, but he was very sound. He was very dialed in. He was tracking the puck better. He was aware. I mean, going back to game 1 where he admitted, yeah, I didn't think he was going to pass it over there. I was kind of expecting him to shoot it, and he got a little miscue, but he was much, much better. And I agree. We've said it heading into this series. Minnesota wins that goaltending duel. I thought they were going to chase Adin Hill. I thought for sure after Zuccarello scored, I was a little curious, but that's, I think, how little faith they have in the goaltending. They were so thrilled with how Adin Hill played, and I think Adin Hill played decent in game 1. He made some big saves in the third, but really it was their defense that did it. And that's what is so strong about Vegas. It's not goaltending, it's defense. Whereas it's kind of the opposite on the Minnesota side. The goaltending is really strong. The defense isn't exactly as impenetrable as the Golden Knights.
Yeah. Hill reminds me a little bit of, and because
Darcy Kemper, say it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Mm-hmm.
They both won cups. Mm-hmm. They both are at their best. They both can look really good. I mean, before Hill gave up the first goal, the Eriksson X save, the pad save was phenomenal. The glove save on the Boldy breakaway was great. And then he gave up the goal, and it was almost like in very Kemper fashion, I gave up a goal.
Yeah.
And then he gives up another goal. And it's like, I've given up 2 goals. Yeah. And it reminds me of the same thing. I thought after the Kaprizov goal to make it 4-rip, that they were going to make a change. They did not. But on Gustavsson, here's what impresses me, because you're right. Like, I can't go back and think of like a lot of 10-bell saves last night. Like, oh my God, I can't believe he stopped that puck. But here's where he's playing so well, I think. His ability, as you said it, to track the puck and to get the puck kicked out into corners and or make the initial save and the rebounds. I think he doesn't have to make the great save because he doesn't dish up the rebound that gives you the ability to make the flurry, stack the pad save, which to me is awesome. Like he is, I don't know that I've ever seen, and 2 years ago, two years back, he was really good. So I probably did at the time, and it's recency bias. But the one thing is, I don't know that I've ever seen Gustavsson this locked in. Like, he is locked in. But his ability with a Vegas team that's on the doorstep to track pucks, make saves, and not give up the juicy rebound consistently, I think that's the thing that impresses me most right now.
Yeah,
I'm nervous about whether or not that can be like sustained, because they have to have games where like they're defensively stout in front of him so that he doesn't have to do that, like, hypothetically 16 games to win.
Great.
Like, you have to have a game where like he can make a mistake or two, but then it's blocking shots, and they were taking away shooting lanes much better in game 2 than they did in game 1. But you have to be a little more sound defensively. You have to limit the turnovers, the odd man rushes the other way. And Judd, Jessi, brought this up, great point last night. When it comes to Filip Gustavsson, I feel like he performs way better in a situation where the opposing team is set up in the offensive zone because the Wild have a better structure there. Odd man rushes is when it feels like he's more vulnerable to get scored on. Like I would rather have it be a meticulously set up, sustained pressure type thing because he seems very well in those types of scenarios. Whereas if it's a 3-on-2 or even a 2-on-2 rush, they have speed the other way. I feel like the Wild defense, they seem to bite on passing lanes a little more often. That just leaves gaping wide open wingers out to just pick their corners on Gustavsson.
100%. I just had 3 instances in my head as you were talking about those rushes. I'm like, oh, yep, the turnover here or this here or the misplay. Like you're just, the problem is we know that there is that strong defense there somewhere. We've seen it. We saw it in the second half, right? That's how they won these games. It wasn't just Filip Gustavsson playing well. It was the defense shutting them out because they couldn't score. Now it's almost like they play loose when all of a sudden the goals start coming and the defense is like, oh, well, we're in a pretty good position. Okay, maybe we don't have to be as tight. We can give a little bit more space, and you absolutely can't because Vegas, as we saw, is going to take that opportunity. They're going to take that space. They're going to take that ice and shove it back down your throats as they did last night. Again, luckily Filip Gustavsson was on his game. So I think there needs to be that come togetherness. Again, the players can talk about it. We'll actually do it. Score the goals and stop the goals. It's a simple game. That's
just break out. Just break out.
Yeah. And that's what the difference was. You look at those goals, the 1, 2, 3, it's that north-south. Say it with me.
Yes.
North-south hockey. North-south hockey. We love it. It's beautiful. Freaking Kirill Kaprizov, man. I've upped my ante. 15.5. Give him 15.5.
Oh, yeah. You know what?
These passes are incredible.
It's blank check. It's blank check time, folks.
Yeah.
We're approaching 16 minimum.
Yeah.
God, so good.
How about that pass? And I am so it's funny. He came back. The Sharks game was great. Now the Sharks are bad. After that, I thought he doesn't really look like himself, which is still a star. He didn't look like a superstar. And so I told you guys going into the playoffs, I was a little bit concerned about that. In game 1, he's got the 2 assists, but I told AJ on a show that we did before the game yesterday, Jessi, I need to see him score goals. Like, if you look through the star players in the playoffs, they are scoring goals. They do both. They facilitate and score.
Austin Matthews isn't.
And sure enough, well, yeah, but McKinnon is. McDavid is.
Just saying.
Austin Matthews might be struggling here. Yeah. But Kirill Kaprizov then came back to his credit and scored 2 goals. And he made as pretty a pass. I saw NHLers on Twitter were like, that's a stupid pass. Like, you can't make that pass impossible. So he right now, to me, has come back and looked absolutely spectacular, which I'm very pleased about. But yeah, it's going to be, if this continues, it's going to be blank check time.
It's that dog in him. We've talked about it. That's what he has, right? It's what we.
But the skill is all. But the skill is also.
But it's skill too. But I think it's mentally because having talked to him last week, Mike Russo of The Athletic and I both flat out asked him, are you healthy? Like, where are we at in terms of health wise? And he said, no, I'm probably about 85, 90%. And he was very honest. And of course, he holds himself to a higher standard than any of us ever could imagine. And I think that's what helps him there too. He's like, well, no, I know I'm not there, but I'm going to work my ass off to try as best I can to look like I'm there, even when I'm not. So I think that's what's been absolutely incredible. God, I've watched that pass like 10 times this morning.
Ridiculous.
Again, I'm just like, oh my God, it's so good. And a credit to Boldy too. I mean, the laser to Boldy, and for Boldy to be able to control it as well as he did too. It's like, it reminds me very similar to what I've watched them do after practice. Now, granted, a lot of those are working on tip-ins, but you see Kirill get those pucks up and they go right to Boldy's stick every time. It's like a quarterback threading the ball. Like, it was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Two defenders, the receiver there threads the ball through them.
Yes.
And but you know what? The last 2 games and late in the season, have you guys been as impressed by Boldy when he actually applies himself completely? He's a star player. This is why, and I think you guys are both with me on this. This is why I get frustrated with him. Yeah. Like, this is him. And I'm not asking for this every single game, but I am saying when he disappears for 15 games, there ain't no excuse for that.
You know what you do? You write a story about it on NHL.com when he is scoreless and when he's going through a bad
Can I still
streak.
find that story?
You can still find the story on NHL.com to search Jessi Pierce, Matt Boldy.
Tell the story.
Because he's been on fire since then.
Okay.
The story goes, guys, in case you missed it.
Tell the story.
About a month ago, I was given an assignment. As a writer, I am not always privy to choose what I get to write about. And the assignment given to me was write about Matt Boldy and how he's going to be the player that the Wild have to get behind in the playoffs. They asked me to write the story when Matt Boldy was bad, when he wasn't doing anything. And I had to fake this narrative that there is this strong player and he's the reason the Wild will make the playoffs. And I was just down on it. I was downhearted about it. I was like, this is terrible.
So were your
I'm
readers.
embarrassed. So were my they were not happy. Reddit got a hold of it because it was like, Boldy, she even watched Matt Boldy. I'm like, yes, I'm aware of how bad this looks. But what did he do that night, guys? That night he scored 2 goals. And then it opened the floodgates, and he's been back to a good player. So now, if you guys see Age and I and Judd joking about it on Twitter, that's why I keep reposting that story. Because I hated writing it at the time, but it seemed to have changed Boldy's narrative ever since I penned it.
You're the
Yeah,
Herb Brooks.
I'm glad you're on board with the joke because every time he scores, I'm just going to tweet at you. Tweet the article.
Tweet
Put
the
it out
article.
there again.
So good.
From December.
It was so painful to write. It was so
That's
hard
fantastic. That is fantastic. Hey, Bold, you know what? He's good at 2 things. He's good at hockey. He's good at golf. But if he wanted to get better at golf, Jessi Pierce, where could Matthew Boldy go to hone his golf game?
Matthew Boldy, like myself, can go to Swing Lab Performance Golf Center down in Lakeville. I know we're about to get outside, but you know what? Sometimes it's nice to have a controlled environment. Take it indoors, get some club fittings, work on your swing with the simulators. You can rent out your own simulator situation with some buddies. Grab some pizzas, grab a bucket of beers. You all know how I feel about that. Swing Lab Performance Golf Center in Lakeville, the place to go. Highly recommend it. It's a ton of fun. And again, so many endless opportunities to get clubs, everything for your golf game heading into the off season.
Oh, a bucket of beer. I'm sold. I'm absolutely sold.
Bucket of beer, bucket of balls. Like that is golf. If you
absolutely
ask me.
perfect. Absolutely perfect. You know what? Playoff hockey is fantastic. You're saying right now, you know what, Sports Dad, it's so good. There's nothing better. And I'm going to tell you there's one thing that's just as good, if not exceeding playoff hockey. What's that? It is the World Junior Hockey Championships, which are coming to our state for the 2026 calendar year. Now, it is 10 days. It actually starts December 26th. So this year at the X, and this tournament is absolutely fantastic. It is a who's who of top draft picks of kids that are going to be taken. It is probably among tournaments go in all sports, the most sports stat approved that there is. December 26th through January 5th. Lock in your tickets now. Group play packages are on sale now. Just go to worldjuniorsmn26.com, worldjuniorsmn26.com for 10 glorious days of high-quality hockey in which you will get to be privy to seeing the stars of tomorrow. I'm talking top picks. I'm talking top overall picks. This tournament, as all 3 of us can attest, absolutely fantastic. All right, let's get to Ryan Hartman. What is our theory? Now, this is the good. He played really well in game 1, 4th line. Again, the demotion, which I think Hines is hoping the Rossi demotion will have the same effect. It's my opinion that they're very different people and players. But Jessi, what is your working theory about how long Hartman can continue to be a pest who doesn't do dumb things back to take penalties, and actually is working his ass off right now? That Foligno goal that he set up from behind the net, Exhibit A. But we've all seen this before, and then we've seen it disappear. What's your theory here?
The biggest thing I want to highlight for Ryan Hartman, aside from the play and the work ethic, is that controlled discipline, right? I would have expected him. Normally we see Ryan Hartman just absolutely lose it, take a dumb penalty, do something stupid. He's not doing it. Even when he gets dumped on his butt, even when there's a missed penalty on him, he is controlled his anger, which speaks volumes of him, I think, as far as that growth, right? There's that concern like, oh no, is he going to regress? Especially how physical Vegas is being fit. They're getting away with maybe this, that, and the other. I need to give him all the credit. That's great. I can imagine that's very hard for him because we've seen him lose his temper very often. So I have to imagine he's worked very hard to control that. So I think first and foremost, shout out to Hartsey for being able to do that. Second of all, I love it. I think Ryan Hartman's the type of guy that is built for playoffs though, right? Because he does have that feistiness. He has that physical capability. I think he's perfectly suited for that third line with Marcus Foligno, where they can go cause some chaos and disruption and really counter. So I expect to see this moving forward for a little bit here yet. You know, I mean, if you get Vinny Hinostroza, that does kind of change things up. then maybe you see even a little bit more of an offensive scoring touch. But that's not what I'm looking for from that line and from Ryan Hartman in particular. I'm looking for that disruptiveness that he is causing and ensuing. And if it leads to some scoring opportunities, all the better. But I think right now Ryan Hartman is playing the epitome of playoff hockey, and I anticipate that to continue for as long as the Minnesota Wild can go.
I feel like they have just like endless amounts of TVs in the locker room for him to go just burn his anger off by smashing in between periods. Cause that's the only thing that I can understand. There's like what are those, like the break rooms or the anger rooms or whatever, the rage rooms. It's just vases and pictures and other like glass things just for him to go and smash. And he comes out and he's like, calm, serene. Let's go play hockey. Let's go finish our checks. Let's get pucks deep. He's been playing really well. Like as much as I think I was skeptical about him post suspension, like, is he going to revert back to the old ways? He's really found this like new, I guess, view on how to approach the game, because he's channeling that anger that I'm sure he's getting by getting cross-checked right in the two front teeth. Yeah. And he's putting it forward on his shifts. He's, like I said, he's finishing checks. He's getting hard to the net. He's making Vegas move and give him real estate out front. He's impacting the game in a way that I think you would expect of like almost a Brad Marchand in times, because he's getting under the skin. He's doing stuff maybe not as skilled, but in the sense of pest wise, he is honing exactly what Ryan Hartman is supposed to be doing. And he's playing that role perfectly. And like when I first saw like the demotion for Rossi, the bump up for him, I was like, oh, well, I don't know about that one, John Hines. He's earned it. Like Rossi is one conversation. Ryan Hartman is another. He has earned this new elevated role. He wants back in the top six. I think Judd tweeted that out. Like he wants back in the top six. And frankly, he's kind of playing like it. I don't know if he will get there here this series, but it's been a joy to watch him on the ice here for the past 2 games.
I'm with Jessi. The Foligno thing works perfect. Now the problem is right now it's 2/3 of a line. Like Nyquist is a minus. The thing that I like about the two things, he's a minus player. 5-on-5, he's a minus player.
I'm going to be completely honest. The reason I didn't mention him is because I literally forgot all about him.
That he's on that line. But that's my point.
Like I was just like,
but that's my point.
Yeah, Vinny will go. I completely spaced. So
Hinostroza brings 2 things on that line potentially that I would like. One, he's got speed, because it's not a real fast line. Not a slow line, but it's not a super fast line. Mm-hmm. So he brings speed. The other thing that I like about him, at least since he got here and actually played pretty well for a period of time, he goes to the front of the net, which sort of fits the identity, right? Like because he's not because he's not a big guy, but he doesn't, like what does Gus Nyquist do? If you were taking a ton of penalties, I do give him credit. He's helped on the PK for sure, but you're not. And so like that line is, to me, that line could be far more akin to like line 2.5 instead of line 3. If you put those 3 together, because I think that they are at a point now where they can generate offense. As far as Hartman goes, I would prefer to have Rossi on the second line. The other thing with Hartman is he does deserve kudos for his controlled play. He's done really well there, but he's got to prove it for a long time to me. Like he has regressed. He is, every time, it's weird with those type of players, every time you think you're there, like, okay, now he gets it. No more stupidity. They do something stupid. But in this case, yes, I think that he is a perfect fit there. And I think with the way that Marcus is playing, that their chemistry right now is really, really good.
I love it. No,
I think that's fair.
It's great. Yeah.
I think that's fair.
So Hinostroza, get ready because you're on the third line now.
Well, and defense. No way he mixes up the defense pairings, but I'm just going to tell you right now.
I don't know. You have to take that's what I'm going to come.
That's why I think John Merrill's
today.
Back in.
That's why I'm going to be like, hey, let me know about this defense.
Can you take like a clip, have AJ clip our best part of our defensive talk and just say, Johnny, come here. And just take your phone out and show him the clip so that he can hear the reasoning for what he should do. I feel like we're trying to help him.
Yeah. And then I'll be like, I'll be in the GM's booth tomorrow, just so you know. Like, I'll just let him know.
You go in there and you tell Billy, hey, here's what we're effing doing, Billy.
We got things to do.
Here's what we're effing doing. Now, you got to drop F-bombs because he won't listen if you don't. So you got to say, here's what we're effing doing with the lineup, no questions. Mm-hmm. And then you do that.
Assertiveness.
Don't make me go down to Craig's suite. Just say that. See what happens.
Deal.
Poor Jessi. She's very tired. She's very tired. We're all tired, but that's okay.
No, I want to do. I kind of, I get a little feisty. We're a little feisty with the lack
Well,
of
it's
sleep.
not like you would be the first reporter to tell the coach what you think that the coach should do. So it's not.
And I do
unheard
love
of.
when they bite back. Like, what do you think I should do? Well, since you asked, here's what I think you should do.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I
You're
would say.
genuinely asking. Yeah.
What's your
Genuinely
answer?
wanna hear
Oh, hold on a second. Let me pull out my reporter's notepad where I have 5 things.
Exactly. So glad I've been waiting for this moment. I mean, that's why I love John Hines, was a very different person. That's what I loved about the character of Dino, because he would push back on me. And I felt comfortable enough to be like sassy back to him. So it was kind of a fun little thing that we had going back.
But the problem with Dean is like, I feel like Hines thinks about things. I feel like Dean pushed back because he's like, we've been going like this since game 5 with these lines. I'm not going to juggle anything. And you're like, no, you're not, are you?
No, you're not. Except who's your starting goalie. Never knew that.
Yeah.
Literally, it purposely would interfere with us being able to watch which goalie was getting off the ice first by having his presser. So we would navigate, leaving one media member, me, outside to watch specifically the goal. It was insane.
That is the and that remains among the stupidest things of all time. But we did have a on our vent line portion of the show last night, Jess. We did have someone bring up one of the worst things that Dean ever did, which was when Gus stood on his head against Dallas in game 1. He had like 50 shots against him. He was phenomenal. And then they came back with Flower in game 2, and the series was forever changed.
But you went out and got Flower for a reason. You're not gonna. That was where I stood at that point in time, and they went
After
out
Gus
and got him
played
for a
like that,
reason.
I didn't. I said, you got to play Gus. Like you just got this performance. You have to ride it. But Jess, this goes to Age's point about like Gus Nyquist. Like, you went out and got him for a reason.
Yeah,
okay, but I don't care at this point. I'm trying to win hockey games.
Waste of skates.
All I'm trying to do is win. What's
sorry.
What's trending then?
Also a waste of skates. That's just my term for all of them.
There's a lot of men that you don't like who play
Is
hockey.
it bad?
Be
Is it bad that
better.
I can say I can like find a role for him though in this team right now?
Gus or Trennan?
Trennan. Like I can at least see of like value of what he does.
First game.
It's not a lot.
I was gonna say
Don't
first
get me
game he had
wrong.
what 8 hits? Like I didn't even, which
With
I didn't
Hartman?
even recognize. Like
But
he had
that's-
8 hits.
But that's
But like
the thing
if he
they
plays
want
like that,
Hartman.
But
if
he
he
doesn't,
plays
he's
like
not
that, keep him in the
consistent.
lineup. Absolutely.
Right. Well, he's not consistent, but the point is that fourth line, Hartman knows how to grind. Now he played really well, so this is not saying he didn't deserve to go up, all right? But Hartman played really well in game 1, and that line grinded it out. Like, that was a playoff line. Like, I'm like, yeah, this is a playoff line. There's almost zero skill here, and no one could score a goal aside from Hartman to save his life. But you're hitting guys, you're pucks deep, right? Like, you're tying the puck up. Like last night. You couldn't sustain pressure after you scored the 4th goal, in part because you didn't have a 4th line that was operational. Like, all I wanted was pucks tied up deep.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. That's where Vegas is stronger. They are a deep team, right? They have,
Correct.
again, those waves of boom, boom, Thomas Hertl. I mean, it's not just Jack Eichel. And Minnesota, credit to them, has done a nice job of keeping Jack Eichel off the score sheet, right? So, I mean, that is something that we should applaud.
And Mark
for
Stone.
certain. And Mark Stone.
You're right.
I just don't. Mark Stone has never, this probably sounds crazy, just never really done it for me. Like, he's just not, I get his ability and I get his size and the role that he plays. I'm never that overly threatened by a Mark Stone.
Really?
Yeah, I know. I told you it sounds crazy. I'm just not.
It does sound crazy. Yeah, he scares me.
Like,
Scares
Thomas
me a
Hertl
lot.
scares me more than Mark Stone.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, right
Wow.
now,
Okay.
right now
Maybe
you might
because
be
he's
right.
old. I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say you're picking on the geriatrics,
Yes.
like myself,
100%.
which isn't nice.
And he just kind of looks like a meathead out there. Like, I don't know.
He does look like a meathead. He's got a weird. I don't know if it's how his head is shaped or what, but he does. He does look a little bit odd.
Yeah.
But the fact that Eichel has not scored a point
Yeah.
because he scares the ever loving, you know what, out of me. So, All right, I think we're done. But we are far from done because the playoffs continue. Game 3 on Thursday. Certainly, Jessi will join us next week. If you want more Jessi before then, I'm sure Bardown Beauties recordings once or twice a week in playoffs, Jess, is that right?
No, we just do one. We're not that overly great.
Okay.
I mean, we're awesome. We have other cool content that we put out, though. We had a live show this week. We're going to do some fun playoff stuff when they come home. More of like influencer things. You'll enjoy it.
Influencer.
Yeah.
And check out her amazing article on Matt Boldy on NHL.com.
NHL.com. You can still find it. Still great article out there. Love it.
All right. We plugged enough. Bye, everybody.